Throughout history, every community has faced its share of trials and tribulations, and the Muslim Ummah is no exception. These challenges, known in Arabic as fitan, have tested the faith, unity, and resilience of Muslims from the very beginning. Today, let's explore some of the greatest trials in Islamic history, not to dwell on the past, but to draw lessons of patience, perseverance, and hope for our own times. The first major trial, or fitna, struck the community almost immediately after the passing of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This was the period of the Ridda Wars, or the Wars of Apostasy. Following the Prophet's death, some tribes who had recently embraced Islam renounced it, while others refused to pay the zakat, the obligatory charity. This was a critical moment. The very foundation of the nascent Islamic State was at stake. The first caliph, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, stood firm. He understood that compromising on a pillar of Islam, like zakat, would unravel the entire faith. With unwavering resolve, he led a campaign to bring these tribes back into the fold. It was a difficult and painful conflict, pitting Muslims against former Muslims. But Abu Bakr's decisive leadership preserved the unity of the Ummah and the integrity of the Islamic message. The lesson here is profound. In times of crisis, strong, principled leadership is essential to navigate the storm. Just a few decades later, the community faced an even more devastating trial, one that would echo through the centuries, the First Fitna. This was a period of civil war that erupted during the caliphate of Uthman ibn Affan. Grievances, fueled by political and economic tensions, spiraled out of control, leading to the tragic assassination of Uthman himself. This event sent shockwaves through the Muslim world. The conflict escalated under the fourth caliph, Ali ibn Abi Talib, as different factions vied for power. Battles like the Battle of the Camel and the Battle of Siffin saw companions of the Prophet fighting against each other. It was a time of immense heartbreak and confusion. How could the best of generations, those who learned directly from the Prophet, come to this? This trial led to the first major sectarian split in Islam, between what would become the Sunni and Shia traditions. The enduring lesson from this fitna is the devastating consequence of disunity and political strife. It underscores the Quranic warning to hold fast to the rope of Allah and not be divided. It teaches us the importance of dialogue, reconciliation, and prioritizing the greater good of the community over personal or political ambitions. As the centuries rolled on, the trials continued, but they often came from external forces. One of the most terrifying was the Mongol invasion in the 13th century. Led by Hulagu Khan, the Mongol hordes swept across the Muslim world, leaving a trail of unimaginable destruction. Their campaign culminated in the sack of Baghdad in 1258, the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate and the center of Islamic civilization for 500 years. The city was razed, its grand libraries, including the legendary House of Wisdom, were destroyed, and its inhabitants were massacred. It seemed like the end of the world. Many Muslims at the time believed that God had abandoned them. The psychological blow was immense. Yet, from the ashes of this catastrophe, a remarkable thing happened. The Muslim world did not disappear. Instead, it slowly began to recover. And even more astonishingly, within a few generations, many of the Mongol conquerors themselves converted to Islam. The very people who had nearly extinguished the flame of Islamic civilization became its new torchbearers, establishing powerful Muslim dynasties like the Ilkhanate and the Golden Horde. This incredible turn of events is a powerful testament to the resilience of faith. It shows that even in the darkest of hours, when all hope seems lost, the light of Islam can not only survive, but also win over the hearts of its staunchest enemies. Contemporaneous with the Mongol threat in the east, another major trial was unfolding in the west, the Crusades. Beginning in the late 11th century, waves of European Christian armies marched to the Holy Land with the stated goal of reclaiming Jerusalem from Muslim rule. For nearly 200 years, the region was engulfed in a series of brutal wars. Cities were captured and recaptured, and countless lives were lost on all sides. While the Crusades are often remembered for figures like Richard the Lionheart, the Muslim response produced its own legendary hero, Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, known in the West as Saladin. Salahuddin united the fragmented Muslim factions of Syria and Egypt and led them to a decisive victory at the Battle of Hattin, paving the way for the peaceful recapture of Jerusalem in 1187. His conduct after the victory became legendary. In stark contrast to the massacre that had occurred when the first Crusaders took the city, Salahuddin offered amnesty and safe passage to the Christian inhabitants. His justice, chivalry, and magnanimity were recognized even by his enemies. The story of the Crusades and Salahuddin teaches us about the power of unity and the importance of holding onto our ethical and moral principles, even in the midst of war. True victory is not just about winning on the battlefield, but about winning hearts and minds through justice and compassion. Moving closer to our own time, the era of colonialism presented a new and insidious kind of trial. From the 18th century onwards, European powers began to dominate and colonize vast swathes of the Muslim world, from North Africa to Southeast Asia. This wasn't just a military or political occupation. It was a cultural and intellectual one as well. Colonial powers sought to impose their own languages, laws, and educational systems, often portraying Islamic culture and tradition as backward and inferior. This led to a deep crisis of confidence among many Muslims. They were faced with a dilemma. Should they abandon their traditions to adopt the ways of the seemingly more successful colonizers, or should they retreat into a defensive shell? This period gave rise to various Islamic reform and revivalist movements. Thinkers and activists across the Muslim world grappled with how to respond to modernity, how to rejuvenate their societies, and how to regain their independence. The struggle against colonialism was long and arduous, but it ultimately led to the birth of the modern Muslim nation-states we see today. The lesson from this era is about intellectual resilience. It teaches us the importance of being confident in our own faith and heritage while also being open to learning and adapting to the challenges of the modern world. It's a balance between authenticity and progress. So what can we learn from all this? Reflecting on these great trials reveals a recurring pattern. First, disunity is our greatest weakness. Whether it was the internal strife of the first fitna or the fragmentation that allowed the Crusaders and Mongols to advance, division has always preceded disaster. Unity, on the other hand, as demonstrated by figures like Salahuddin, is the key to strength and success. Second, faith is our ultimate source of resilience. In the face of overwhelming devastation, like the Mongol invasion, it was the unwavering belief in Allah's plan that allowed the community to survive and eventually thrive. It's a reminder that with hardship comes ease. Third, holding on to our principles is non-negotiable. Men like Abu Bakr and Salahuddin showed that true strength lies not in compromising our values, but in upholding them with courage and integrity, even when it's difficult. These historical events are not just stories from the past. They are living lessons that are deeply relevant to the challenges we face today as a global ummah, from Islamophobia and political instability to internal sectarianism and cultural pressures. By studying our history, by understanding the trials our ancestors faced and how they overcame them, we can find the guidance, inspiration, and hope we need to navigate our own times. The story of the Muslim Ummah is a story of falling and rising, of trial and triumph. And knowing this history gives us the confidence that, with faith, unity, and a firm grasp on our principles, we too can overcome the challenges of our time. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this reflection valuable, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. Let us know in the comments which historical event you find most inspiring. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.